they were saying on the show. And at the end, he says, oh, well, we're going to come back and we're going to listen to it was four people sitting on the panel. Two African-American ladies, one gentleman, I really can't tell. It was kind of racially ambiguous. And there was another woman that was white. Well, he totally ignored the guy and one of the African-American ladies. And he focused in on the white lady and let her say what she had to say, which was fine, But when the second African-American lady attempted to comment, to correct and inform of why this is taking place, the host, who happened to be a white male, abruptly interrupted her mid-sentence, mid-word. Her mouth was still moving with the word coming out of it when she was trying to explain the situation, and basically said, well, we're done. He just ended the entire segment because this woman was trying to explain that it has nothing to do with the flag. It has nothing to do with politics. It has something to do with the representation and what is being forced on us in the name of holding up and doing the injustice that kind of at the end of the day does tie back. But no, it doesn't. You have to pay attention to what is being said and put it together and take a second to just think about how things are working, because it's not just this country that is in such an upheaval. I mean, it is all over the world. There are people fighting all over the world. And this is a big fight, but is not as big as the overall fight. And the overall fight is everybody wants the same thing. They want a nice home to provide for their families. They want to earn an honest living and be able to provide that home. They want respect, and they just want to be loved by, friends and family. Why is there such a big argument over who gets to have that and who doesn't? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. But obviously it makes sense to other people. And where I'm going with this is, yes, I am a businesswoman. Yes, I talk about travel, leisure, lifestyle, and business. Yes. But sometimes you got to take a step to the left and say, you know what? Something's just not right. And I will say that I have been affected in a way ever since this whole election process almost a year ago. And I did witness a shift in everybody's ways as far as how they present themselves in public towards other people, how they view other groups, how they judge other groups. No one is actually taking an opportunity to sit down and say, hey, why do you see it that way? Why do you think this way? Why do you feel that way? I mean, nobody's doing that. And everybody instead are just basically being angry and hateful and spiteful and mean. And it's just too much. It's just too much. And it's affecting everyone, including the people who are inciting all of this. It's affecting everyone. And we may not see the effects that it's having on one another, but I guarantee you, if you just step back and watch, pay attention to the things that's happening in your neighborhood. Pay attention. You want to know what's really happening in this country or in this world? Listen to the little children who don't know anything other than what they are being taught. That's when you're going to realize what is really happening in this country. Our children are going to be the beacon They always have been. And I would say that what a child does in public is what they're taught in private. So you have to really, really take into consideration what's happening to this world. And do you really want your children, your grandchildren, to grow up in a place that's so hostile they have nowhere to turn? In a place that teaches the children to only pay attention to what's on social media, always have an electronic device in their hand, and never, ever, ever communicate face to face verbally with anyone else so that you can understand how to have an emotion. Just because you're told no, you can't do something, it doesn't mean the end of the world. Just because someone hurts your feelings does not give you the right to take their life. Things like this is happening, and it's happening constantly. And everyone just says, well, that was just that kid, or they had bad parents, or it was just their race. If they didn't come from that culture, if they weren't that way, no, 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 no. We are teaching. We are the examples for children, and children are growing up into what we adults are. And if you're walking around with a bunch of anger and hatred and malice in your heart, that's all you're going to teach these children, and not just your own. Those children who come in contact with you, it's like a plague or a virus. It affects people around you. One of the best things you can do is walk out of your house, smile at a stranger, and say hello. You never know how it can change the course of events for that entire day, and how it can have a ripple effect. Can we please stop being angry? Stop. Be frustrated. Yeah, I get that. Because things are the way that they are and things are happening the way that they're happening. But you know what? As long as we hold on to all of what's going on around us and all of what's happening to us and to other people around us, and we're filling our heads with what's going on the news, who pretty much only force feed you everything that's negative and blow every situation out of proportion so that you can always remain in a constant state of disarray. If we're watching this first thing in the morning when we turn on our TV, when we put our feet on the floor while we're having our morning coffee or tea or whatever it is that we drink in the morning or eat in the morning, how do you think that's going to gear your day? We wake up, many of us, and the first thing we do is pray. Once we pray, we hit the radio or we hit the television, and then we fill our brains with all of the negative as if we're taking a shower in it. And then we walk out, and the first thing someone does or the first thing someone says, someone stops quick at a light, and you don't realize that there's something going on in their vehicle that's not going on in your vehicle. Now you've got road rage for the rest of the trip to work or wherever it is that you're going. This stuff has an effect. And we have to understand that this has an effect on everybody around you. And I will never tell you that it doesn't affect me, because it does. In fact, this is how I started the conversation. This does affect me, because when I get up in the morning, I don't even turn the television on anymore. When I get ready to go to bed at night, I will watch, instead of the prime time that everyone's watching with all the drama and the suspense and the murder and the mystery and the lying and the sex and the drugs and the blah, 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 blah. I tested out a theory, and instead I started watching comedy, something that's lighthearted, something that makes me laugh out loud, something that de-stresses my body, my mind mostly. And then I'll lay down and go to sleep. I will have a sound sleep far better than I would when I was sitting up watching the what is it, the ABC lineup with the Scandal and the Grey's Anatomy and the whatever that what was that other show that came on? Oh, How to Get Away with Murder and whatever else came on after that. I don't even know. Okay, but when I laid down after watching that, I couldn't rest because my mind was so on edge because everything that I had just packed it with. This stuff makes a difference in your world. What your children are watching, what you're watching, what you're listening to, what the songs that you're listening to, all of that stuff. Yes, it's entertainment, but to what level of dysfunction or misguidance is it? Because anyone who knows anything about advertising, and I'm not going to say that everybody should and everybody does, but there's a process. When you're watching a show, let's say from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you're watching one television station. Let's just say you're watching the ABC lineup. You're going to see every show that has drama, suspense, murder, killing, mayhem. The commercials are like that. And then they're also geared towards the type of food that you're going to eat because it makes you hungry, because it tells you about all of these different restaurants and all of these different foods, and primarily McDonald's and Arby's, who, by the way, are the worst foods that you could put in your mouth. But we're not even going to talk about that. But they're training you to desire and to crave these certain things in your world. So when you wake up in the morning and you turn the TV on and you're listening to the news, because of course everybody wants to hear what the weather and traffic are going to be because you're getting ready to leave the house. But in between the weather and the traffic, you got to sit through a minimum of 7 minutes of murder, mayhem, dysfunction, Trumpism, and everything else. So by the time you get to the weather and the traffic, you're already angry. You don't even realize it, but you're already on edge. You're snapping at your kids. You're snapping at your spouse. In your mind, you're saying, I can't stand going to this job. I don't want to do this. Why? Because when you went to bed the night before, you were saying, let me go ahead and get into bed so I can get up and get ready to go to work or go to school or go do what I got to do. It's a conditioning. It is a conditioning. Stop allowing yourself to be conditioned to the negativity and in this world, because it doesn't have to be that way. It really, really doesn't. You can change it all on your own. One household at a time, one person at a time, because what you change in your household will have a ripple effect, because if you're raising children, those children are going to go have homes, and in their homes, they're going to continue to do what you've done. So you can either continue to feed into them what is happening in this world to perpetuate the situation and make it into something bigger, or you can stop it, change directions, and train your children through your example as to what it means to just be loving and just be kind and have a laugh out loud moment every couple of hours. Not every once in a while, every couple of hours. Why do you have to be serious all the time? Why do you have to be on edge all the time? Because that stress then turns into disease, cancer, hypertension, all kinds of things. Autoimmune disease rather. All of that stuff. That stuff is internalized, and it manifests inside of you or your loved ones into something that could kill them. So just for a week, this is the last week of the month before we go into heavy hard gear overload on the holidays, because I guarantee you after today, everything is going to be about Christmas and Thanksgiving, and that's it basically, because they skip over Halloween. Halloween is like a jump start, which is fine because, not everybody celebrates Halloween, but whatever. Okay. But let's take this last 7 days. Actually, I'm wrong. Today is the 30th. Gee, Monetti, I'm a week behind. But anyway, Let's take this first 7 days of the month and just